Hi everyone, welcome to the Awaken Your Inner Leader Summit. This is Haseena Patel from South Africa. I'm hosting this summit and this is an adventure of interviewing 21 experts around the world about different aspects of leadership, particularly how to find your confidence, release your fears, and share your voice with the world. I'm very excited about our guest today, Liz Weaver. Well, Liz is the president of Weaver Business Services, LLC, a management consulting firm headquartered near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Liz provides strategic and succession planning, executive coaching, and comprehensive leadership development programs to business owners, boards of directors, and leadership teams. Liz is one of fewer than 100 people in the U.S. to hold both the Certified Speaking Professional and Certified Management Consultant designations, the highest earned designations in two different professions. She holds an MBA in International Business, has taught for Johns Hopkins University Graduate School of Continuing Studies, and Georgetown University's Senior Executive Leadership Program. Liz is also a nationally recognized board director, having served 6 years with the National Speakers Association. She supervised business activities in 129 countries and has consulted in over 20 countries. Liz has also written 9 leadership books, a monthly column, and shares strategic leadership insights via various social media outlets. Wow, Liz, it's wonderful to have you here and being able to pick your brain about the different aspects of leadership because you have so much experience in so many aspects of leadership. Welcome.
Thank you, Haseena. I'm so happy to be here and so honored to meet you.
Oh, thank you. Well, what I'd like to ask you first is you've consulted, you've helped many different teams with regard to leadership. How do you start to evaluate where you are and determine where you need to go when you're growing as a leader? And with that, what can you do to manage your fears so that those around you still feel confident?
That's a great question. So given what I do with my clients, Haseena, as you said, I work with women and men in leadership positions from mid-level managers to business owners. And in my work with them, one of the things that we spend time talking about is what their role is as a leader in that company and the organization. And the reason we do that is it sounds like somewhat of a patronizing question, but we need to help leaders get very, very clear as to what it is they're supposed to deliver or they're supposed to do as a leader, regardless of their position, to really be effective. So one of the ways that I individually and then also with my clients start to evaluate where a leader needs to start his or her leadership development process is we always look at what is the organization's strategic plan over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 or more years. And given what your organization is working to accomplish, what is then required of you as, let's say, the business owner or a director or a manager or a mid-level manager? And what do you need to do as a leader of the organization, of your department, of your team, or of yourself to help contribute in moving your organization forward? And the reason we do that is it really helps leaders then hone in on very specific leadership skill sets and leadership attributes and characteristics. Otherwise, you end up just kind of guessing and throwing a blanket out there and capturing areas where you would like to improve or you think you would improve and you work in certain skill sets and certain areas of development, and the people around you and the managers above you are not happy with what you're doing. So we always work and start with a strategic plan to identify what are the skill sets that the organization needs of you and that your team will need of you to lead them going forward. And then I think the second part of your question was, how do you manage your fear and be confident as a leader?
And keep those around you feeling confident too.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes, the reason I've answered the first question the way I did is in my work with clients, even myself, I found that my personal anxiety with, am I doing enough? Am I good enough? Seems to dissipate a bit if I'm very clear what is expected of me by my clients. In a situation where a woman or a man works for another organization as a manager or as a division director, as the company owner, if they are clear what the strategic plan is asking of them or what the client needs from them, and they're very clear in what I always refer to as the deliverable, the output, it really helps the leader then be able to stay focused on ensuring that they are developing and working on the right skills and the right activities to really be as effective as they can be. And when they do that, they're also then able to communicate to those around them, this is what we need to do. It's going to be hard. We might make progress. We might go backwards at times, but as long as we stay focused, we're gonna move forward. We're going to be okay. So it's that clarity of working towards the vision, working towards the big goal, that I always think helps people really stay as focused as they can be. And we all are going to doubt ourselves. We're all going to stumble at times. Yeah. But when we're able to refocus on what we know others expect of us and are waiting for from us, I've just found in my experience that that's what helps me, and that's what helps my clients who are leaders and senior level leaders in organizations.
I love what you said, especially about communication, because that's what it all comes down to. And one finds that in many cases, teams don't communicate, especially like a manager not communicating or not knowing what they're doing and not being able to have that communication with the people above and below them. And it's so much better to communicate right at the outset than when there's a problem and then, okay, well, now what? What was I meant to do, or what were you meant to do? So it's so key.
You're absolutely right. It's critical, and it is the skill set that we spend the majority of our time focusing on with clients, of how to get more clear in clarifying expectations, how to be more specific in helping your team members understand not only what you need of them, what you want of them, what specific skills you want them to change, what specific behaviors you want them to stop. And Haseena, it's so challenging for so many leaders because so many people are afraid of being very straightforward and clear in providing feedback, that they tend not to provide the feedback for fear of offending someone. Yeah. And so with the best of intentions, by not wanting to hurt a team member's feelings, many managers don't communicate well or don't communicate at all. And then that's where, as you were saying, that's where so many of the frustrations come about. And so it's one of the things that I try to reiterate with my clients is one of the most courageous and kind things you can do is not only communicate up front what the project is and how what the deliverable is supposed to be and how each team member plays into achieving that outcome, but also having the courage and the compassion for your team members to immediately provide feedback when you get a sense that the team member is starting to veer off track, so they can adjust behavior sooner rather than later. And when you communicate much more proactively, oddly enough, even though you might be providing some critiques and suggestions and altering behavior, when you do that as well as providing compliments proactively and right away, you actually build a stronger relationship, because now the team members are going to trust you to provide positive feedback and corrective feedback. You really have this two-way balanced relationship. Whereas, as you were indicated, if you don't say anything, then they don't know what you're thinking, and quite often you don't communicate until they've done something wrong. So then your team members only hear from you when they're doing something wrong. And on the flip side, if they only hear positive things from you, most logical people, we're going to say, well, what else? I'm not perfect. What can I fix? So, you build this level of distrust by being only positive or only negative.
Mm-hmm. And taking this one step further, that when you are leading your team, and you've spoken about how others will start to believe in you and believe in your ability to lead, but so many people, particularly women, need to create self-belief that I have the right to lead, I have the skills to lead, and that's probably where it all starts. So how does one create a strategy for that? Is there a strategy one can create to develop that?
To develop their own self-belief?
Yes. Yes.
I think that goes back to being able to look at your role as a leader and look at yourself as objectively as possible. And what I mean by that is I have seen too often exactly what you've just mentioned, in that women, more often than I have seen men do it, will doubt their leadership capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll second guess ourselves, and we'll say we're not good enough, or we're not ready yet, or we can't do it as well as somebody else, even though we can, and even though we have the qualifications. And so what I say is, look at yourself and look at your role objectively. When you look at, again, the role you are being asked to fulfill, whether it's a management position, a volunteer leadership position, your board director position, really look at, given the role you are being asked to fulfill or you being paid to fulfill, what do you need to deliver as the leader in that role? Don't even think of yourself as a woman in leadership. Just think about, what does the leader need to do in this role? Mm-hmm. And then ask yourself, do I, Liz Weber or Haseena Patel, do I have the skill sets needed to fulfill that responsibility right now? And if I don't have all of them, do I have the majority of them, and can I learn the rest? And we need to look at what we have in our cadre of skills already, and not doubt ourselves as much. Really look at what we have done, what we've accomplished, and be able to stand behind it, and be able to, when asked, itemize and say, I have done these things. And that's not to brag, but it's to itemize and educate others on what your capabilities are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think also have the confidence to know that you have the ability to learn something. And this is something I learned from a close friend. I was, many years ago, there was a job opening at a newspaper, and she said to me, why don't you go for the job? And I said, no, but I can't do this, that, and the other. I don't have that skill set. And she said, so apply for the job. You'll learn. Tell them that you learn. Or just like ask someone to show you the basics, and you can learn with that. And that was a very important point.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it sounds basic on the surface, but it's a huge point. And the other point to consider with this is every leader that I have ever worked with throughout my career that I have the most respect for has always, always, always been a leader who believes that he or she is still a student, and they never are the master of all. And so I think that we need to be aware that the best leaders are always learning every day.
Yes, definitely. I agree. Now, Liz, you've worked in, what is it, 129 countries. And I mean, through technology, everyone can work globally these days. What do you feel organizations tend to have in common, regardless of where they are based? And this is something I'm always curious about. Does how people respond to your message or product differ based from country to country, or are there common elements when reaching people across borders?
I've found that it really doesn't matter other than adjusting your vocabulary at times, but leadership challenges and working with people are the same in any country that I've worked in. It's a matter of, again, the leader understanding and being able to articulate to his or her team what the leader's responsibility is going to be and what he or she expects of all the team members. So it's the ability to be able to be very clear, to clarify what the future looks like, and to be able to build that environment where, again, regardless of country, regardless of culture, the employees, your team, your members understand and feel a part of the bigger goal. And they believe that they come and they can provide value every day. Now, what I will tell you is there are obviously some cultures where it takes longer for team members to feel comfortable in speaking up. They are much more attuned and trained and culturally comfortable with being very much a cog in the wheel and coming in and doing only what is asked of them. But even in those types of cultural environments, it's a matter of, again, being very, very clear in communicating what is expected every day and providing feedback and creating a culture that is not one based on, but is one that's based upon teamwork.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's every member of the team feeling like they are a contributor and knowing their importance in the team, and that makes a difference.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Liz, what roles does emotional intelligence play in being a successful leader? And are there some tips on how to best understand and utilize this skill?
Oh, emotional intelligence is critical. Haseena, it's one of the key skill sets, again, that some of the most effective leaders I've worked with have had high emotional intelligence going in, but have also continued to intentionally develop their EQ, throughout the time that I've worked with them. Because, again, the ability to understand yourself, be aware of your own personal weaknesses and deficiencies, being able to control your knee-jerk reactions, being able to read your team and read your environment and identify not only what's happening, but what do they need of me now to move forward, and then being able to put those corrective actions or taking the initiative to move the team forward are all indicative of emotional intelligence skills. And it's one of those things, I think, for anyone to understand and improve their emotional intelligence. Obviously, they can take one of a number of assessments that are out there, and then really identify and possibly work with, others that they are comfortable with and getting feedback from, to improve their different EQ areas one element at a time. It'll make them not only more comfortable in their own shoes, but obviously much more effective as a leader or as a team member in an organization.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I asked you this question is because I feel that emotional intelligence and using it seems to be such an underutilized skill in businesses.
Well, it's an underutilized skill in many situations where I'll be very straightforward. I don't believe managers or leaders are fully appreciating what their true responsibility is if they're not developing artificial intelligence. They're viewing their role as come in, get work done, hit some check boxes, and leave at the end of the day. Whereas a leader, as a manager who has high emotional intelligence or is working to develop his or her emotional intelligence, views their role as, yes, we have to get the work done, but in order to do that, I need to be the best leader I can be, and I need to help clear the roadblocks for my team so they can be the best they can be. Because we can't get the work done if my team is having issues. And so a leader with high emotional intelligence not only just looks at the tasks and the checklists that need to get done, but they look at the people that they have to coordinate and leverage and support to get the work done, and how can they best support them.
Yes. Well, that's definitely a critical point, and it's so important to develop that. Now, I know our time is almost running out. One last question. Since we live in this constantly changing world and there's so many developments in our world, how does one keep up with the changes? What can you do to develop strategies and systems so that when a new development comes along, you're prepared to meet your audience's need and you don't miss an opportunity?
Well, I think we all need to understand we're never always going to get it right. We're never always going to be in the right place at the right time. But what works for me and what works for the majority of my clients is the more we know and stay connected with, and by that I mean communicating, talking to them, following them on social media, interacting with them, the more we stay connected with our clients or our customers, and we understand what the issues are that they're facing, quite often by tracking what's happening with our clients, our customers, and their industries, it tees up for us what their next challenge is and how we might be able to help them. And so it's a matter of watching what's happening in my world, watching what's happening to some of my clients and the industries that I support, and identifying what services do I have or what products does my company have that can help my clients meet this next hurdle, because I can see it coming and I know they see it coming too. So let's start addressing it now, sooner rather than later. And a basic example in my world, I have a number of clients that have managers that are pushing retirement age, and they don't have a strong enough next level of leader to step up and take over. So I will raise that issue with them before many of them want to talk about it, because I tell them it's going to take more than 2 years to get this mid-level management team ready to take over. So let's be fair to them, and let's be fair to your company, and let's be fair to your clients. So in my world, it's being very, very close to your customers and understanding their challenges.
And I guess it can be very exhilarating if you just see it as an adventure and not something to get pressurized about.
Exactly. And again, I think it goes back to something we discussed earlier is we need to also give ourselves a break and realize we're not going to get it right every time. And you know, sometimes we're going to make mistakes, and if we do, we acknowledge, look, that was a poor choice on my part. I read the scenario wrong, but I'm moving forward. And you know, we don't beat ourselves up about it. We just say I made a mistake and move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, brilliant advice. It's amazing how many companies people don't know to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's important, even if it sounds like common sense. Liz, I believe you have a free gift for our listeners.
Yes, I do. I do. So, you know, one of the things that my company does, as I mentioned, is we work with leadership teams on a regular basis. And so on my website, we have a free leadership assessment that any of the listeners can take. It's very quick. It's only 10 questions. And when they take that assessment, they'll then receive afterwards that will indicate which of my 5 stages of leadership they are currently testing out in, and what they need to do to move to the next step to be the type of leader their team and their organization needs them to be. And to access it, all they need to do is go to my website, which is W as in William, B as in boy, S as in Sierra, L as in Lima, L as in Lima, C as in Charlie.com/leadership-quiz.
Okay, awesome. And listeners, if you didn't hear that or you didn't get that down, remember that that link is in the email that you were sent this morning, and you can access the gift that Liz is offering. It sounds amazing. I want to take the test and see what I come up with. Liz, thank you so much for this interview. I've learned a lot from you, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much, Haseena. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, it has. Listeners, I hope you took a lot from this. There's so much to learn about teamwork and communication and so much else that Liz has shared. Anyway, have a great day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.